Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to continue what I started in the previous one in adding more dimension to our work. It's the 11th video in the unit 5, and in the previous video I made an exterior 4 series or 4 chain of dimension that detailed the exterior exterior information required, or actually documented the important or the required information about the building, and specifically the exterior boundary of it. And as you can see, I was just doing the north and west side, and as I promised you that I will detail the rest of the east elevation and also the south one. And in this video I will explain a little bit more about dimensions and, for example, how to do the interior ones, and not really a big difference between both. So either go to annotate and line, which is the majority of the dimensions goes for it, or you go DI, for example, and again it's gonna activate the same command, which is dimension align, and you can go an individual. And I saw lots of people love the way tried that one by one. It's very similar to AutoCAD, and several school and several standard for each office. Some of them just want the X and Y for the entire room, and some of them now actually requires to dimension from inside all the details again as you did from the outside. So just follow whatever you want actually. And again, if you go individual, remember when you hover above the wall or you put your mouse above the wall, it's going to close to the most strongest constraint. So remember to hit tab maybe once or twice in order to to snap to the face. That's what we want. And then you go ahead and snap again with the tab, and you can go ahead and click outside if you want to cut that into the interior dimension of this room, or again hover again and tab, and then so on, in order to do that. So that's a way of doing the interior dimension. It might be feasible and good, and after probably adding this, probably you're gonna just select the string, and then you seek for this small circle and then push it aside, and instead of having the dimension above the wall, which is the majority of us does not like. And if you hate, again, you can just select it, and you can get rid of this leader, if you don't want to see this line that guide the text to the specific area that it's been represented by it. Again, select this guy and move it to the side or even down, whatever you like to represent the thickness of this wall. Anyway, so that's been said. Another way of doing that, again, dimension align, and this time I'm gonna go to the entire wall, and if the circumstances allow that, double check that there is nothing in it first, and then select the wall, and it's immediately going to give you the dimension for the overall wall. But remember that this guy has been taken from the center of the wall, so which is technically, you don't want that. So just select this and just select the dimension itself and click on this middle one, this middle that's what we call it, witness line. And this this small circle, when you click on it, it's going to jump, you see, to the exterior of the face, and then to the center. It's actually the core, and then to the center, and then to the inner face, and that's what we want technically. So you can do that. That's a way of doing it. First, you might need to stretch it so you see the end and the center one, and then when you click on the center one, you see it jumps to the face, and by that you get you get this overall width for this room. That's another way of doing that. If you have an entire wall and then nothing selected here, if you select opening and then width, I don't recommend using center at all, and then you select that again, that's what you're gonna have. Again, lovely. So probably you need to select this guy and stretch that, and then you select this, and as we said before. But the issue with this, It might be good if you use it here, for example, like this, you know, DI, and then you select, and then you push your hand to the side, and, you know, push the overall one far away. That might be good for this type of walls where there is no intersected with no intersected partitions like this one. So that sounds really good and fast. But this guy, it's actually there is an intersection or a perpendicular wall to that one, which is by this method it would be really ignore it. And so what we do is just go ahead to align and then go to options, and then you have to say or to check this intersection walls. So when you select the same element, the same wall you have here, notice that it actually sends the center of this, which is a little bit of a good solution, but not really. Actually, it's a good one. It doesn't fix it. We need to do more. So probably I will go and stretch that and then click on this, and by that at least it sends it to one of the faces. Now it sends it to this one, and probably I need to go to edit witness line, and then with tab I can select, you know, the other point that I wanted, click anywhere else, and by that it's actually created for me the extra dimension that I wanted. So I'm gonna try to move that aside like this and like that, and that's technically what happened. It's 120 millimeter to the wall face, and then another 180 to the thickness of the wall. I will keep those leaders because it's gonna be crowded here. Again, probably here, see, you can first stretch that line and then select this middle one. So it gives me the clear distance between the edge of the window and this guy, and then you go to edit witness line, and careful, it's again gonna snap to the middle of that. So tab and then click anywhere in the middle. Don't use escape, of course, and then move that, you know, away as such, and you're gonna fix this in a really fast way. And again, you need to fix the side, and probably you need also to move, you know, any perpendicular or any intersection between those two perpendicular strings of dimension. Otherwise, it's going to be really messy and hard to read when you print that out. Again, push that aside and click this, and that's what you want technically to describe the entire details of this southern wall. And now, if you want to continue that, probably I'll go here. If I want to continue that to measure the thickness of the exterior wall and then go out to this extra slab that I have, again select the string and then go to edit witness and then keep clicking, and again you might need a tab here and then another click here, and probably you might go outside and then you click and then you click outside, and then with an escape you discover that this guy is actually wrong and it shouldn't measure the center of the fence, or you just simply you don't want it, like you say, no, that's so far away and I don't want that. So again, instead of when you select that and you hit delete, it's gonna delete the whole thing, and you don't want that, so I'm just gonna undo. So you need to cut that part only. So again, the edit witness lines, that's the command that you're going to use, and you see it's a plus minus, and we tried the plus part of it, and when I ask you to click anywhere inside, and in order to do the minus part or to get rid of this guy, just go ahead and select whenever it's going to highlight the first witness line of it, which is this guy, and when you click, it's immediately cut this one and make it a one piece. And by removing that, this dimension extended to the far away area that's it's here, and again that's not what I wanted. So again, an undo will do a good job in here. So if you want to get rid of this witness line, or in order to get rid of those two things by removing this witness line, it's actually merging them. To get rid of this guy, probably it's a good idea to select that one or that part, and you see now it's been removed, and whatever you click here, it's gonna cut the command by removing that one. So it would be really a good idea when you select this command is to select the part you want it to be removed. So if you select this one, it's gonna make one dimension for this 300 and the 4000. If you want to remove that one, you have to select the far right of it, and it's gonna be ending this command and giving you the result that you wanted. So that's again, that's the inner dimension, and it's a simply again really to understand how it works. It's very similar to the outside, just might need to, you know, a couple of extra details or extra information that I wanted to give for you guys in this video. And for the rest of the annotation, again, the angle one is just to decide what is the actual angle between any two objects, and I think it's self-explanatory. And again, probably the spot elevation, one of the important one, and again, it's just need 3 clicks, so 1, 2, 3, and it's going to be measuring the level of that, while here 1, 2, 3, and then you so on and so on. And it's good to, you know, measure the height of the fence like this. Again, 1 click, 2 click, 3 clicks. Why the 3 clicks? Because that's the way we love it, you know. That's what some people love it with the leaders. If you don't, just, you know, have a look. If you click and you move your hands, you're gonna have this. That's the first click, the second click, and the third click, you know, if you like it that way, which is, I feel it more with the elevation way rather than, you know, the level of the plans. You have this system. I prefer it, you know, like this one, click, click, click in the same spot, and then whenever you want to finish the command, just hit escape, you know, a couple of times. So that's again one of the important you know, annotation that I use, and probably the most of them, to be honest, this guy and this guy and this guy, you know, the aligned, the radial, and spot elevation. So again, really you need to understand the idea of that it's the dimension as an architectural element. In Revit, they are completely view dependent. And by view dependent, I mean that whatever you designed in here, when you go to the level one, technically you're going to find nothing, because that's what, if you remember, that I've done in the previous videos in this place, but nothing in the dimension that I did in the ground floor will or should show in the level one, neither in the roof. And that's a fact. And as you can see, when I delete those, it doesn't affect anything in the first or even in the ground. They are not really linked to each other. And if you go to 3D, again, nothing will show in it. So that's what I meant by a view dependent. So whatever you're gonna do in here, it shouldn't be affecting anything in the next level, which is level one or the roof. There is another way, for example, to, you know, try to copy paste. So if you select those things, you know, like all the elevation or the dimensions, or probably select the entire object like that, and then you go to filter and then check none, and then just select the dimension and hit OK. I know it might sound crazy, but let's try it. Let's go to copy, and then I can go to level one, and then I go paste or whatever, align to current view. And by doing that, again, probably I need to hide the AutoCAD drawing element hide. You know, it's gonna paste for you. That's a kind of a tricky. You might find useful. You might find it not. It depends on how you look at it. Look, it's pasted for you. Whatever makes sense out of those, you know, really too much dimension. Whatever it can be fixed or fits in this view. So for this example, it can be found, or it can be identical in the same place, all the levels, because I didn't change the grid sequence that I have. This guy, for example, while the rest, where they don't have the same similarity in the architectural elements as a wall or as an opening, it actually, like specifically those two lines, you know, it didn't actually copy them. And that might be useful for you in a somehow to reduce the amount of time and the effort lost on, you know, duplicating or copying or doing again the dimension. Probably if you're working on a typical documentation or plans where they have high similarities, probably copying paste with this method might be useful for you or not. It depends on the condition that you have again in your design. So that's what I meant in the by the term view dependent. And probably you're gonna face another aspect, which is the ability to, control the scale of the dimension. Especially here, it's 1 to 100, and it sounds okay. But if you wanted, or you actually want to make a more detailed area, especially as a closed area, or a confined zone like the kitchen, or a smaller area that you want to add more detail or furniture to it, and then you decide to add dimension for the furniture. In this case, adding more dimension in the one place is gonna make it really hard to be read, and you're gonna go and decide to do the an incorrect way, and by increasing the scale or decreasing the scale, it depends on what you need, and that might be acceptable somehow in in a cases. But the correct thing to be done is to right click on that, and then you go ahead and duplicating the view. And if you hit just duplicate, it's gonna make a copy of the view but without the dimension. That might be useful for you. So I can rename that guy. I'll come on that, right click, and then rename, and then say just the ground floor, but it's 1 to 50 or 20. And in it, you're gonna go add furniture and add dimension, and add the required details you want, and add the detail you want in this room with the furniture, with everything, without going scared that might be overlapped, or getting like too much crowded, like the scale of this size, or adding furniture. Even this guy, sorry, that's what I forgot to do, like a 1 to 200. That's even the hatch, you see how it's been changed when you change the scale. So now you can go freely add dimension and add furniture, and then dimension the furniture, not only the architectural fenestration or the architectural opening, which is really powerful, because the scale here is being controlled in this view only, and that's also a view dependent feature in the dimension, which make it really powerful. While this guy, we're still having the 1 to 100, and each one of them will contain the same architectural element actually, but in each view you can put the dimension with a different scale. While that might be that really can be a good option if you know how to control it by an easy way, by right clicking and duplicating the view itself. In 3D, for example, you also can add dimension. So if I hover tab and then select this edge, and then you go ahead and hover and select that one. I didn't catch it correctly, so DI, so a couple of tabs here, and then until I see the line, and then I click, and you can see that I have a 3D dimension that might be useful for you. I don't know, depend. And again, this could be really useful for you in dealing with adding some extra details or some extra dimension for you within the 3D documentation. I don't know if you need that. I never used that before, but I just wanted to highlight that it's possible actually to be done. So that's all what I have to say about the dimensioning, with adding extra more detail for it, whether it's exterior as we've done here, or if they are interior. We also spoke about the scale and of dimension, and also the ability to have them in 3D, and also that they are view dependent. If you by any chance you wanted to turn off all the dimension, for example, in the view, so there's so many ways to do that. Probably we need to talk about that also. You can select one of those elements, and then right click on it, and then hide, and you can hide the entire, you can hide this guy only, or you can hide the entire category like this guy. Okay, and that's can be really useful for you. I'll hit just Control Z, or you can go VV, and within this you can go to annotation, and then deactivating whatever type of dimension that you don't want to see in the document or in the plan as such, and you get yourself back to this. It isn't deleting it. We're not actually deleting the thing, rather than we just are hiding them. This is, again, that's how, you know, Revit looks to the concept of layers that we have it in AutoCAD. So we don't have layers in Revit. We have instead this architectural element category, which is controlled by the visibility. So they just change the name rather than creating something that might be useful for you, and also it can create mistakes by creating for example, doors in the incorrect layer and put them in dimension. That might cause really serious issues. So again, another feature to be controlled by, you know, the visibility graphic override, and or by hiding them either temporarily or even permanently in the view. I wish that you find this video useful. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.